Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's export session. And today we're continuing with our Insights into METS series and looking at Peru today, fresh prospects for Australian METS companies. I'm Collins Rex. I'm the lead for the Victoria METS Export Hub, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's session. I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we meet, which for me is the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And I pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and also extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Straits Islanders peoples who might be joining us today. Now, for those of you who were registered for our original session, you'll know that our presenter is Ricardo Labo, who unfortunately was ill last time round, but Ricardo is fighting fit and back with us, and we are very thrilled to have him with us to talk you through doing business in Peru in the sector. So Ricardo is a Peruvian mineral economist with vast experience in the mining sector, both in the private and public sectors, with a strong balance and focus between commercial, financial, technical, and socio-political business aspects. He's been the Deputy Minister of Mines for Peru, and he's held several roles in companies such as Rio Tinto, Roche, and Phelps Dodge. Ricardo currently divides his time between consultancy, acting as country manager for a junior exploration company, lecturing at universities, and sitting on the boards of several companies and institutions. And one of the roles that Ricardo holds is the consultant on the ground for our Victoria METS Export Hub as well. So for those of you who are joining us from Victoria today, if you're not already members of the hub, please reach out to us, become a member, and you too can have access to the sterling services provided by Ricardo. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ricardo, who's going to deliver his presentation. And a little bit later on today, I'll also be introducing you to my colleague, Grant Philpotts. We'll be telling you a little bit about all the gems that we have coming up for you at the hub. So Ricardo, I'm about to hand you control of the slides, which you should now have. So feel free and you can carry on.
Great. Thank you, Collins, Grant, and Osmai for the invitation. Good evening, well, and good morning to everyone in Australia. This is a very focused presentation on Peru. I will give you at the beginning a bit of to be everyone in the same line, or what is Peru, what are the opportunities, and also giving you some insights about doing business in Peru and what are the opportunities for METS currently and in the future. So let me start giving you the context of Peru as a mining country. Some of you may know this. For others, this may be new for you. Peru, as Australia, it's considered itself a mining country. I have put together some key figures and facts about Peru. Why is a mining country? Definitely, Peru is, just to give you an example, is the second largest copper producer in the world. Peru produces around 10% of all the copper in the world, after Chile that produces around 25% of all the copper in the world. And the same, we are leaders in other metals and minerals like gold, silver, zinc, both precious and base metals, and also some rare earth also. Well, that doesn't come without having large reserves. Currently, the same as production. It comes with the reserves, and then there are discoveries, both from greenfields and brownfields that are replacing those reserves that are being produced or exploited every year. Similar to Australia, well, these are recent figures. It came down a bit because of different reasons. But in general, in average, in the last 30 years, the GDP, the mining represents around 10% in average of the Peruvian GDP. And also it contributes a lot to the budget of the country, around 10%, the same. Also a large source of employment, direct and huge indirect impact. In the last 10 years, the investment has been around $60,000 million. And mining represents about 60% of the total export. Only copper represents 60% of that 60%. And Peru is wild, has concessions all around the country. However, what is in activity is maybe 10% of that figure. No, so there still is a lot of exploration to do in the country. This is the map of Peru. We have the coastal area. Here we have the Pacific Ocean. So Australia is this way. To the right or to the east, we have Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia, Chile, and Bolivia as a border. All of these are mines all around Peru. Peru is divided in 25 regions. And most of the copper production comes from the south. There's a bit here, also some copper production from Antamina. Most of the gold production comes from the north part of Peru. And we have a lot of polymetallic and the oldest mines in Peru here in the center, just to the east of Lima. Our coast is very narrow, very dry, and if you go to the east, you start climbing very quickly into the White Cordillera of Peru. You know, you go in half an hour, you may be in 1,000 meters above sea level. In 3 hours, you will be or less in 4,000 meters above sea level. No? That Cordillera, that's one of the main reasons why we have those mineral reserves, definitely. So mining again is present all around Peru. These are active mines, the main active mines. There are more mines than these. These are the medium, large size mines around Peru. So related to that and getting into the main topic of the presentation, you know, how mining provides opportunities, and in this case, opportunity for providers or for METs as they are called in Australia. Yearly, you know, every year, mining companies buy around $10 billion to mining providers, different goods and services. I will show you that. I mentioned that in average, the mining GDP is around 10%. That's similar to I think to Australia, and you have to add to that 10% this 4%, which is the GDP that providers represent. Linked to that, there has been last year there was a survey. Actually, the OSMine that survey that you do every other year was kind of the base for this survey about Peruvian providers, mining providers, and that mentioned that around only 3% of all the providers based in Peru are linked to Australia. Also, there has been, because of the mining development, linked also to that investment that I mentioned before, 5,000 or a bit more have been established only in the last 20 years. So there has been an exponential growth of that because of all the opportunities. And certainly innovation and collaborative participation, and I will talk more about that in the next slides, are present in the core of these providers. The World Bank used to publish, they stopped publishing these. They published that for, I think, a decade, and they stopped doing that. I don't understand why in 2020, but the figures are a good indicator that this publication included how easy or difficult was doing business in 190 countries, including Peru, Australia, and others. So, according to this last document, Peru ranked 76 out of 190. I think Australia was number 6 or 7. I think I have the figures later there. And also, the main players are mining players are based in Peru. You know the names, the usual suspect names: BHP, Rio Tinto, Nexa, Vale, Teck, Anglo American, Goldfields, etc., are based in Peru. So that gives you also an idea of the players that are involved in the mining sector, and that also is important because maybe you already have links with some of them that could be a way of entering into Peru, which actually has been the case for some providers in the past. So one of the questions that you may have, how difficult or how easy, or if it's possible at all to do business in Peru. And the answer is yes, not because I'm Peruvian, it's because, all the investment I have shown you, all the companies that have been raised or have been established in the last years. Again, the mining sector is one of the most important economic activities in the country. So it's possible to do business in Peru. That doesn't mean that it's easy and that it's straightforward and you don't need help to establish yourself in Peru, especially if it's your first time that you are exporting or producing in another country. As I mentioned, this is a World Bank document that they measure different things, trying to identify if it's possible or how hard is to do business in a different type of country. I have pulled some together, the main variables that they consider, comparing that to Australia. So definitely Australia, as a developed country, part of the OECD, is in a different stage than Peru. So that there's a big gap between Australia and Peru, for sure. But we have improved a lot in the different in the last 10 years or more. We the number that summarizes everything is this first line, how the ease of doing business. Well, Australia is in position 14 out of 190, and Peru is 76 out of 190. But Peru was very close to the 190 some years ago. So we have improved a lot because of the different policies that have been established in the different years. This last report highlights actually the improvement that Peru has done to facilitate import and export in Peru. And actually, in that, surprisingly, Peru is a bit better. So that's definitely good news for everyone who is trying to establish a business or also to import or export any goods and services. I won't go into the details. I guess this presentation will be available for you. You want to get into detail, and if you need more information, let us know. I mentioned that there was a survey about baseline survey about the situation of the mining providers in Peru. And one of the questions that captured my attention was how, what is the main obstacle to establish a commercial relationship with a mining company? And actually, I also saw the OSMIND survey, and the answers are quite similar. And the main reason that the company, the providers mentioned as a deterrent or that difficult having a relationship with a mining country is not having access, having access to the key decision makers, to the procurement area, the logistic area. No, that's the main reason. That's not an exception in Peru. No? Another reasons. No, the main challenge is also related to. I don't know what's going on with the slides. Sorry. Okay. Also, this information is based on a work LQG, this consulting firm did a couple of years ago, asking the companies what are their limitations to innovate and how dependent or not were from external providers. I will touch on a couple of them. Well, one main challenge that was identified is how companies are not willing to take the risk on looking for new solutions. No, so however, that's something that is starting to change, as I will show you later. There's a process that has started maybe 3 years ago in Peru, pushing more open innovation centers and processes. No? And the other is also lack of trust in general, no? And between companies and providers, which these open innovation processes also are helping to build that trust, and also the work, for example, that we are doing with OSMIND, introducing providers with mining companies, METs with mining companies, are also part of that process. This, in a nutshell, is the ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem, as I call it. Some of the key players. This is not an exhaustive list, but gives you an idea of a general map how the innovation ecosystem is working in Peru. From one side, you have some state or government initiative. They are not as strong as the ones that exist in Australia. Australia is maybe 30 years or started all this process 30 years ago. As I mentioned, Peru has started these processes maybe 3 years ago. So all this, what I'm showing is a bit new. Well, the companies themselves also are in a process of building inside also innovation departments. Right now, in some of these companies listed there, you have an innovation manager, which works together with the logistics or procurement area to look for external solutions and new providers to get solutions to their internal challenges. Then you have several associations, the Mining Society, the Engineers, the Mining Engineers Institute, Chambers of Commerce. Some of them have 100 years old or are newer than them. Then also you have some promotes, and this is the new group in terms of open innovation that are helping providing support to the mining companies and also to the providers to link them to promote more open innovation initiative. And then you have, of course, the METs, the providers. Also, the academic sector is getting involved. That's also a big difference than in Australia. Australia, there are strong links between the mining sector and the academic sector. In Peru, that's a process that also is just surprisingly is just starting. You know, regardless of my first slide that show you that Peru is considered itself a mining country, and also you have some financial institutions that are supporting some different initiatives. Looking into the future, I mentioned that in the last 10 years, the development of new projects have involved an investment of around $60 billion. Only last year, the investment was around $5 billion. In the next, considering this year and the next 3 years, there's also a flow of investment. Yeah, these figures are from the government. They may be a bit positive, but the trend, you know, is the correct, no? And as you can see there's a mix of new capex or investment in new projects, and also the investment in sustaining capex. This is important because this is actually where the opportunities will come. How all this investment is distributed all around Peru, a big part or most of it is in the south part of Peru, where most of the projects are the most advanced projects are located. No, but as you see there, the mining investment is distributed all around Peru. Not as a surprise, most of the projects that are being developed or will be developed are concentrated into copper, but also there are different projects that involve different minerals also. No? So coming back to the question of where are the opportunities for METS, as I mentioned, there will be a new capex investment in the next 3-4 years. That's the new capex, and that will represent $8.7 billion plus $15 billion in sustaining capital. How this, and this is some figures done with real data, just taking into account around 20 projects, how the capex was distributed, and most of the capex is invested in processing plants and all what that represents. Then the other is in mining equipment, infrastructure in general, but also energy and water and tailings management is an important plant, and also services as EPCM definitely account for a big part of the capex. Just these companies are just an example of that are present in Peru, but that gives you an idea. Maybe some of your names are there or not, but that gives you an idea of what are the goods and services that are being demanded by the mining companies in the development of new projects, and some of them also for their OPEX. In terms of, apart from the capex, this is more on the OPEX side, or what are. Remember that I mentioned you that mining companies buy around $10 billion every year. Those $10 billion are distributed in this way, more or less. Most of it is in consumables. Then the big part on transportation, metalworking, buying chemicals, financial services in general, and PPEs and other goods and services that are bought by the mining companies. An important, I wanted to include this map because this is something important, important information. Where are the current providers based? Where they have their headquarters. More of them, Peru is still a very centralized country. So Lima, which is the capital, concentrates most of the local providers, which from there, give services all around Peru. This, I mentioned that the south has most of the copper mining activities. So also Arequipa, which is one of the main mining regions, concentrates also a big part of the providers. Definitely, there's an initiative now called SAMI. It used to be called the Mining Cluster of the South, that is focused on this part of Peru to promote more relationship between mining providers and the mining companies. Again, based on this open innovation, creating links between the providers and the mining companies. So that's an initiative that just started no more than 3 years ago, which is in continue growing. So having said that, there's a lot of data and information there. So the next slides are more focused on what you need to do or what we can help on the process of looking into opportunities in Peru. Again, there's a change in Peru, and the interactions between providers and mining companies are being more open and more interactive. So that's a change in mindset in the mining sector. It's still in evolution, but that brings an opportunity for any access to Peru. Again, related to that also makes more productive any networking and creating relationships between the different parties. You as a provider, what do you need to identify, especially if you have more innovative products or your focus is more on innovative solutions, is to identify at what stage the company is in their internal process of looking for new external solutions. Also, to identify or link or build relationships through the different spaces that are being built in Peru or exist already in Peru, that not only promote open innovation, but promote different initiatives that to link mining providers with the mining companies, between business associations or through business associations and trade associations. In Peru, there's definitely a big mining community, but it's also a small one, which is, but still you need to which door to knock, where to go, at what moment, how to enter, etc. What we are doing with the METS, the Victoria METS Export Hub initiative, is we are working on these different, creating different opportunities, through this is different processes that will add to one purpose, which is getting market access to Peru. So we are organizing one-to-one meeting with mining companies. We are organizing also different presentations, virtual presentations in different spaces. We are creating also or signing MOUs with organizations that are in these ecosystems that will help that interaction. and also promoting the participation of Australian companies in Peruvian events, and also taking advantage of international events where Peruvians participate. No, I will touch on that in a bit. This is an example of some of the main spaces where you can and we can help on showcasing or promoting or engaging with different mining companies. There's the Australia-Peru Chamber of Commerce that we will start a series of presentations of what Australian METs can provide to mining companies based in Peru. Also, even though it's not totally linked to Australia, but the Canadian Chamber of Commerce is one of the most active chambers in Peru linked to the mining sector. They, for example, organize, as you may know, the PDAC convention in Toronto every year. They organize that, and Peru is one of the largest delegations there. So it's also an opportunity to meet with Peruvian companies. There's the Institute of Mining Engineers, also that provide different spaces, and also Rumbo Minero, which is the only TV program focused on the mining sector. Going to mining events also is definitely a good idea to meet different people. Even though this virtuality opens you a lot of doors, still has some limitations. No? I have listed here what I consider the main events where you can link to mining companies. One more focus on different topics, like for example the one that organizes the ISEM, which is the Mining Safety Institute. We have already organized some to some companies that are members of the hub some virtual presentations, and they had access to or they were present, like 250 people watching their presentation, for example. But they handle an annual convention that goes every April. Then you have the gold, silver, and copper symposium, which runs every 2 years in May. Then you have Expo Mina, which is mainly focused for mining providers that runs annually every April. There's this MinPro, which has a very interesting system, because what they do is they have like speed dating. So you have the managers of logistics or different areas meeting different providers. So you have 5 minutes to present your products, and then you go around. So it's a good venue also to present yourself and to complement other efforts. I think not only one effort it will be enough for introducing yourself to a mining company, but it's an addition of different efforts. Then one of them, this is the largest convention in Peru and one of the largest in the world. In some years they received 12,000, 15,000 people. That happens also every 2 years. This coming September, we'll have it. We are participating. Osman will have a space. Australia will have a pavilion there with a lot of companies. Still, you have time if you want to come. And this is actually in Arequipa, no? And that makes sense also because I mentioned there's a mining cluster in the south of Peru where Arequipa is kind of the center. And then there's ProExplo, which happens every 2 years. So the coming year is the next one. That's in Lima. That's more focused on exploration, but it still is a good opportunity. So a lot of spaces in Peru to participate. If you only have limited resources and want to focus, definitely Peru Mini is one, and MinPro or Expo Mina are the other ones that are more focused on mining providers, definitely. Also, as I mentioned, the other effort is meeting Peruvians outside Peru, no? And PDAC that already happened is a good. IMARC, which is supported by Osmine, also happened this November. I know that, well, I have participated myself a couple of times, and there's a delegation that is planning to go. So we expect also, maybe not as big as the one in Canada yet, because of different reasons, because it's new, distance, etc. But there's it attracting a lot of attention. So mining companies and potential partners with you are going to participate. I mentioned also that there are several cluster and open innovation initiatives that have started in Peru. One of them is SAMI, which used to be the southern cluster of the mining cluster in the south of Peru. It has I think the main copper producers, which may represent now more than 60% of the copper production, are members of SAMI. And they are promoting the links between mining providers and this group of companies, and also universities, not only for open innovation, but relationships in general. Also, there the Arequipa Chamber of Commerce is involved. Then the other big initiative is the Mining Innovation Hub in Peru. Actually, here there's Osmine also is getting very involved on this. There will be an announcement soon on that. So that will be open a good space also to link Australia with several mining companies. The hub also has, I think, right now around 10 mining companies that are participating there, and they have several spaces where they link providers with mining companies. No? Then there's this mining lab, which is focused or promoted by Nexa Mining, a Brazilian mining company. And then the Mining Society also have this initiative called Mine Energy, which is evolving and it's kind of new. I'm coming to an end here, but some of my main recommendations on getting access to Peru, getting involved in the Peruvian mining market. It's taking into account some of the things that I'm going to mention here. First of all, there are very good relationship between Australia and Peru, both diplomatic and commercial. Australia is very active here. The free trade agreement was signed around 3 years ago, but it entered into force 2 years ago. Unfortunately, in the middle of the pandemic, or just starting the pandemic, so that kind of stopped a bit or slowed down all the process that both countries had to promote more, but it's in force. There are a lot of details that you can take into advantage about that free trade agreement. So that's very important between the commercial activities between both countries. Also, the other recommendation is you need to engage with a local, and you can do that progressively. Maybe you don't need one representative immediately here, but maybe having some specific links. But whatever path you choose, really, be careful with whom you get involved. There's some groups or people that maybe offer you things that may be able to deliver. No, so also here we are to help on guiding you on that matter. Something that is, I think, is that makes more difficult the market access and also the relationship with the mining sector. Unfortunately, for some reason, there's no providers association. There's no an equivalent of OSMINE in Peru, unfortunately. However, with this initiative of OSMINE, the export hub, OSMINE, for the work we are doing together, is building a network and building partnership to facilitate actually those relationships and access. The other way is also, as I mentioned, we have companies, Australian companies working already in Peru, BHP, MMMG, and others that maybe you already provided with them. So that's another way to get into Peru. No? In any case, and maybe most of you have experience on that, going to other country. Any entrance to Peru takes time. It's you have to think long term, be patient, but you have to invest some time and resources, and take opportunities to on spaces like this to know more about the country. But also the spaces as the export hub to help you with some of the engagement, no, and also think that in some cases you will need to, because of your products or services, you need to create a demand that maybe doesn't exist or satisfy some of the demand that already exists, or both, no. And also something important, and maybe you read the news about Peru. There's some political issues right now in Peru, but that's that happens all around the world. But it's important to monitor the political and social situation. Definitely don't minimize it, but also don't get, as I mentioned there, don't get too much scared. There's more going in Peru than being stopped. Really, no. There's usually the negative news flow faster and get more permanent, but there's more things going in Peru. I show you the figures. That wouldn't be possible if there's that we live in a political and social issues permanently, which is not the case. Just to finish, about LQG, which is the consulting firm through I'm doing this work, and I'm linked with. This is a company that's already more than 15 years in the market, has a very unique way of working, and definitely is the largest one-stop shop consulting firm in Peru in terms of the business model that offers and the consulting services that it provides, and it has a large permanent staff of diverse professionals. This is just how the business model works, based on intelligence, but also different services on different fronts that also you can use. So that's Collins, all from my side. I pass that to you or to Grant for the questions.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, and as always, great stuff. So I'm sure that everyone on today's webinar learned a great deal. I know I certainly did. And one of the important things that came out of this is you really do need to do your homework. And I think, whether it's Peru you're entering or any other market, you do have to do the hard yards before you dip the toe. And we've gone a long way today to giving you some of the background information that you need for Peru. And I think that's vitally important. So thank you, Ricardo. It's been great. And for those of you, as I mentioned, who are Victorian-based, please remember that if you join the Victoria METS Export Hub, you get access to Ricardo services to help you on the ground in Peru, and that is absolutely invaluable. More than happy now to take any questions. If you do have any, please just type them in the Q&A box, and we'll get Ricardo to answer them. And of course, if you can't think of any questions now, when you get your follow-up email from Zoom around this event, you'll also have a contact address there. So feel free to send your questions to us, and we will pass them on to Ricardo if you can't think of them right now. And while you are thinking of any questions, I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Grant, who's going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we have coming up in the next few weeks. All yours, Grant.
Oh, there I am. Thank you, Collins. Yes, you can see that the Victorian Mets Export Hub has a number of webinars coming up. So we have Pitching for Success the 23rd of August, the 30th Presenting Like a Pro, and on the 17th of August, we kick off our regional roadshow in sunny Geelong, otherwise known as G-Town. So Collins and I will be heading down there for the Novotel. So that'll be next week. So if you're interested in that, if you want to come down for that, that's more than the registrations are on the Ostmind website as we speak. We're also doing Bendigo and Ballarat as well as Morwell. So we're trying to cover as much of the state as we can. So you can attend any of those events or all of them if you wish. That would be an interesting person that would come to all of them, but you're more than welcome to if you want to. So we've also got our Capability Accelerator program that's underway at the moment. That's on market selection. We've got the next one is another marketing masterclass. The last one that Collins presented was very good. I know I got a fair bit out of it. I'm looking for the Pitching for Success one because last year, as part of a pitching program, we did see a number of members who weren't that great at it. But it's always, and if you are great at it, it's always a chance to have another bit of a polish up and improve your skills. I know I'm looking forward to that one. So that's on the 23rd, I think, Collins, that one. So we've got those on the way. Yeah, there we go. Pitching for Success and Presenting Like a Pro. I'll be on. Looking forward to hearing those two. And our regional roadshow. We've also got a smart mining event on the 31st of August as well. So that's coming up. That's on our Ostmind website. That's going to be a panel on mining in 2023. Plus, in October, we're doing a CEO lunch as well. So that'll be good. And then we're also looking at doing a special Mets Hub event in the middle of October. And we've also got an end of year event that I'm going in to have a look at a venue tomorrow, actually. So that'll be good. We'll get to see how that works. Our GMG forum is the 17th to 18th of August in Perth. Tomorrow's mining, innovating. So that's always good to know, isn't it? So there'll be many members that'll be trekking across to Perth, taking the red eye over and the red eye back. We've all been there. It's hours of fun. And then we've got IMARC as well on the 2nd to the 4th of November. That's in Sydney this year at the International Convention Centre. So that's always a good time to get together and realise why we live in Melbourne as opposed to Sydney. And then we've got, after that, our Oz23 Ostmind conference in Adelaide as well. So that's the 9th to 11th of May. Have a look online for all the details there. I always say to people that if you want to know what an event is going on, check out the Ostmind website, because if you ring me up and ask me, I'll be checking on the website as well, because that's the keeper of all knowledge, the single source of truth, as we often like to say.
Thanks very much, Grant. And we've got one question that's come through from Chris Doran. Chris asks, does Peru have a free trade agreement with Chile? And indeed, yes, Peru does have a free trade agreement with Chile that's been in place since 2006. Ricardo, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah, it was signed in 2006, it's been ratified in 2009. And also, actually, the large 40% of the sales of Chilean providers are in Peru. No, so Peru is the largest single country for Chilean providers. So they're big business. Chile, depends a lot of Peru for their business, and Actually, I mentioned that, it's that big that I mentioned that in Peru that doesn't exist an OSMINE equivalent. So there was a Chilean group that wanted to create a Chilean association or a Peruvian association of Chilean providers. No, that big is, no. So yeah, there's a lot of experience of Chileans working in Peru. Uh-huh.
Good stuff. Are there any other questions? If there are, please, you have the opportunity now to still type them in the chat box. And as I mentioned, if you can't think of them now, feel free to send them to us, and we'll be more than happy to pass them on to Ricardo. So we'll give it another moment or so.
It's also important to realise that the Victorian Mets Export Hub is going to Peru for Perumin. I'm going over for that, so I'm looking forward to that. We have a number of Victorian Mets companies coming. If you are going, please let us know. We can always hook you up with Ricardo as well. As Collins has said, the hub is free to join. We've been having a number of meetings with non-hub members, and basically every one of them, once we indicate to them what services are offered, go, "Oh, this is a no-brainer. I should have been a member a long time ago," and they all join up. So if you are going over there, please make yourself known to us. OSMINE has also got a stand over there as well. So Chris and Sheldon are also going over to represent OSMINE. There will be a wall between us and OSMINE. We don't associate with them, do we, Ricardo? We're keeping it on the export hub. So there's a stand there. That's right. No, there's no wall. We're one organisation. So if you are going to Perumin, please let us know. You can email Collins or myself, and we can take it from there. Thank you.
And one final question that has come through, Susan Greenbank asks, she says, our CEO and president are going to Perumin, not exhibiting on this trip, but do you have any tips on navigating Perumin? Susan, just double checking, and you might want to type this in the box for me or in the chat box. Are you a Victorian company, or are you based elsewhere in Australia? Because obviously if you are a Victorian company, we can hook you up directly with Ricardo. If not, Ricardo can answer the question now anyway for anyone else who's attending and might want to know a little bit more about. So you are in Melbourne. So Susan, we'll reach out to you because we can probably help you with some specific information around Perumin if you are a member of the hub. But Ricardo, just some general tips for our delegates about Perumin. What is the best way to make the most of your time if you're not exhibiting and you're just attending, because it's a big show?
Yeah, it's huge. The venue is really, it's huge. If you have been in IMARC, Perumin is 10 times that, just the venue, no? Well, in Melbourne, I mean, no? And so tips, I think, if you see it's going, if you can try to have at least, one meeting, organized in advance per day, also try to go to most of the, part of doing the networking is in all the social events. There's a big competition. Not only, I know the Victoria, the Austrade is organizing some of them. Maybe you want to contact, I don't know, through OSMINE or directly with the Victorian government or Austrade to get into the list. I don't know how they're organizing the list to get onto that. Also, so getting to those social events, that's the best way to meet different people in one place. Also, the other thing is try to organize pre-organized meetings. For now, you have 45 days still to organize that, so you may get some meetings with some key people, other CEOs, from mining companies or logistic managers, etc. Or one of these associations that I mentioned you. The other is, try to get, there are some by invitation only events, others that are just free to go. Also, everyone there, their objective is to meet, like in any other of these type of events, everyone goes to meet others. No, so depending on what, I'm not sure what company, what is your company, but you can watch who are your competitors. Also mining companies have their booth there. Take a look to their booths. And so those are, I think, my main three big tips that come to my head right now. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. And I think that is very useful. Big shows, you've got the exhibitors list, so trawl through them, make sure that you have your hit list and know exactly who it is you want to be seeing and when, and try to hook up as many of those meetings as you can ahead of time. And again, I cannot stress enough, if you're a Victorian company and you're not already a member of the Hub, join the Hub, and we can make sure that Ricardo assists you on the ground. If you are a Hub member and you haven't yet reached out to us and let us know that you're going to Peruman, you please should do so ASAP, because we know who is a member of the official delegations that are going from Austrade and from Global Victoria and from Ostmine. But of course, we don't know if you're just attending and you're not on any of those official lists. So you do need to reach out to us. And we've just had one of those overtures. So please make sure that we know that you're there, and we'll do as much as we can to get you as much assistance on the ground as we possibly can as well. So thank you, everyone. I think that's probably the last of the questions. Yes, Will, thank you. We'll definitely be reaching out to you and hooking you up. For those of you who haven't been able to keep up with all the slides, and there's a lot of content there, we will make them available to you through the Ostmine website, and there will also be a recording of today's session made available to you, so you can revisit any of the content that you might have missed. And as I said, if you have any questions after the fact, please reach out to either Grant or myself, and we'll be more than happy to field those or pass them on to Ricardo through us. So thank you, everyone, for attending. Thanks again, Ricardo. Fabulous presentation. Thanks, Grant, for being with us. And to all of you for making the time to attend today's session. It's always great to see so many of you online. And it's really encouraging to know that so many Australians are interested in this new market. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. We look forward to seeing you at the next session, and keep doing that great business. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Cheerio.
Bye. Thank you.